In this video, we talk about building the ultimate brand marketing plan for your business. This actually is a part of our Brand Builder Academy course. And I've taken a section of that and I'm making it available to the public. So this is a part of the Brand Builder Academy, and it's one of the lessons in that course, and that course has a lot more. And I will briefly explain what the course is about at the end of this video. And okay, so for some housekeeping, my name is Mash Bonigala. I'm a brand immersion strategist. I'm also the founder and CEO of Spellbrand. Spellbrand is a digital branding agency, and we've been around since 1998. We have studios in New York, Sydney, London, Dubai, and Toronto. So the Brand Builder Academy is an online academy dedicated to helping entrepreneurs create, build, and market highly successful and global brands. So the Brand Builder Academy is supported and managed by the leading online digital branding agency, Spellbrand. So that's the introduction. And just in case you're wondering why you should listen to me, just a brief note about myself. Since 1998, I've been working with brands, both large and small. I work with entrepreneurs, I work with startups, I work with medium-sized companies, and I also work with global Fortune 500 companies in clarifying their brand strategy, in building brand identities, coming up with marketing strategies, and so on. And over these 18, 19 years that I've been into branding, you can imagine I have sort of worked on almost the entire spectrum of market segments, company sizes, challenges, and so on and so forth. And I've gained a lot of valuable insight into how branding works, how companies can differentiate themselves, how entrepreneurs can build robust, lasting, and successful brands. And in the Brand Builder Academy, I bring that knowledge and that insight to entrepreneurs willing to sort of build their brands. And in this video, I share a little bit of that insight. All right, enough about me. Let's move on to the show. Okay, now more than ever, brands need a robust and complete marketing plan, even before they have named their company. I'm not kidding about this, because the company name, the brand name, the product name, or even the service name will be influenced by your marketing plan. And it should be, because that is the right way of going about it. Your marketing plan, which includes crucial sections such as your brand strategy, your positioning, then of course comes the brand naming, brand identity development, product or service development, and very importantly, pricing, outlining your distribution, your sales and retention plans, your marketing channels, and marketing campaigns should be the first things to start working on when you've decided to launch a new brand. That's quite a mouthful, but what I'm trying to do is really briefly summarize what your brand marketing plan should be. Now, it is important to understand that there can be no such thing as a universal marketing plan. That's because each industry, market segment, and vertical sector is different, and how you approach the story, the brand story, or brand messaging for that sector would be different and should be different. So this presentation is meant to be a general guide. It lays out all the important sections you need to work on, the kind of questions to ask, the critical elements to look at, and how to put your brand marketing plan together. So, what are the important sections of a brand marketing plan? You start with the scope. This is where everything begins. And without a scope, your brand marketing plan and whatever you do next will all be chaotic. You also need to set up objectives. You need to describe your company, your business, or your brand, your service, along with the marketing goals, strategic goals, and financial goals. Without setting objectives, without having a kind of a roadmap that outlines all the strategies and tasks and activities, it would be difficult for you to have a venture that is successful. So we start with the objectives, and objectives are very, very important. Next, you need to look at positioning. So in positioning, you plan to differentiate your brand and your offering in the marketplace, and you have to stand out in the competitive landscape. So you need to research and document the characteristics of your market, as well as build a detailed buyer persona or personas. And you need to understand the buyer's journey, which is very, very critical to the success of your brand. Next, you need to look at brand strategy. A brand strategy is nothing but the entire experience that your target audience will have with your brand. And of course, your product, your service, or your offering. So here you talk about your brand story, your personality, vision, and what you represent. So you need to work out what your brand promises and how you're going to deliver it to the market. Next, you need to look at product, service, pricing. So you describe your product or services or analyze their suitability in the market and fit to the target market. So you then define your pricing strategy, and this should be consistent with your positioning strategy and the value that you're delivering to the market. Next, you look at distribution, sales, distribution channels that you need to focus on, how you're going to access the market, along with any direct sales plans that you may have. Next, you need to look at retention. This is about retaining your customer base. And this looks at the process of upselling, cross-selling, of course, customer service, and, plans and campaigns and things like that. And finally, you come to the most critical element, which is the marketing. In this section, you outline the major marketing campaigns that you can run, and you include everything from email marketing, social media, search engine optimization, paid marketing, paid online marketing, publicity, and of course, other traditional media. So let's start with the first section, which is the scope of your marketing plan. Now, a marketing plan can be very simple. It can be just one-paged, or you could create a 50 or 100-page document covering every possible scenario. Now, a great marketing plan should be detailed enough to act as a guide when you go and build the company or the brand or the product. And you can refer back to each section before engaging in the activities. Each marketing plan should depend on your particular circumstances. So to begin with, you have to establish a rough timeline for your marketing plan and make sure you add in some padding or buffer for each section. Underestimating the time a particular section or task takes would be the downfall of any marketing plan. Next, we'll look at the objectives of your marketing plan. In the objective section, you're trying to describe the company, the markets you serve, the products or services that you're offering, and high-level strategic goals. The introduction. Now, the company introduction would serve to give any potential investors the background information on the brand and help make sense as to why the venture is interesting. The products and services that you need to clearly describe your product or service, including details of the problems they solve and how they would make your customer lives better. The market. A description of the market that you're going to work in, along with a detailed description of the market forces that may influence your brand. This is very critical to anticipate potential obstacles. Strategic goals. Here, we list down some high-level strategic goals, such as perhaps increasing market share, outgunning competition, building brand awareness, creating strategic partnerships, or increasing publicity. And the all-important numeric goals. Here, we list potential numeric goals that our business must achieve. These include total revenues, new customers, distribution channels, market share, and so on. All right, the next section that you need to look at is competitive positioning. Now, to build a successful brand, it is important to analyze your markets and your positioning for each market. You do this by understanding the market and then defining how you will differentiate your brand and your offering in that market to create maximum value. Competitive positioning. It's all about standing out in the competitive landscape. But please do not confuse this with being loud and trying to attract attention. That comes under marketing campaigns. Here, we're talking about fundamental and real differentiation that goes deep into the soul of your brand. There are three pillars of competitive positioning: market analysis, market segmentation, and competitive analysis. First, we look at market analysis. For this, you have to try and understand the pain points that your product or service is trying to address. Who are your customers? What is their worldview? Create detailed and robust buyer personas. When analyzing the market, you should look at the following: the industry or industries you're addressing. You have to define the market size. Underestimating the market size can sometimes lead to the downfall of the brand. The geographical area you plan to cover. Is it going to be local, national, international? And if it's a B2B, then what is the ideal company size? The stage that the company is in, and the structure. You don't want to think about going too fast or too slow until and unless you have analyzed these points. Now, in your target audience, who makes the buying decisions? How is the competitive landscape? What are the other companies doing? What are the overall trends in your market? Is your market growing or contracting? Sometimes you might be jumping into a market as it is declining. Now, that would be a very challenging kind of prospect. So you need to be aware of where your market is. What are the influences on the market? What stage in your market life cycle are you? Is it introduction? Is it a growth market? Is it a mature market? Or is it a declining market? Now, the last one is particularly important to figure out, since the stage of your market life cycle will determine your positioning approach. For example, your market can be in any one of the following stages: introductory stage, growth stage, maturity stage, or a decline stage. If your market is in the introductory stage, then your prospects may have a problem Maybe they're not aware that they have a problem, but you know that your solution is needed by them. So you will have to build awareness of the problem by educating the audience and also on the potential solution. In the growth stage, you would have to focus on why your target market should buy from you because they are already aware of the problem. They're probably actively seeking out a solution, and it's your job to let them know how you're different and better than your competition. If your market is in the maturity stage, then you'd be better off focusing on why your product or service is better. So you're not trying to educate your market. You're not trying to educate them on the problem. You're not trying to build any kind of awareness. They are already aware of it. They're actively seeking, and in fact, not just seeking, but there are multiple solutions already available in the market. So then you may have to look at your pricing strategy more carefully in this stage because that's how you're probably going to be differentiating yourself. Of course, value-based pricing should be at the core of your strategy, not just going through price wars. If, of course, you are in a commodity kind of marketplace, then yes, you'll be forced to fight price wars. But if you're not in a purely commodity market segment, then you have to look at value-based pricing. Now, I have done a different video on value-based pricing, and I will link to it in the notes. You may want to check that out. If your market is in the declining stage, then you may be forced to focus purely on price. And you may have to go niche while innovating to increase the market share or even to compete on price. Typically, if your market segment is in a declining stage, I would advocate a lot of caution, a lot of care. You cannot simply just rush into it, throw things around, because you may end up getting hurt. Next, we look at market segmentation. A market segmentation includes a detailed buyer profile, which will help you understand your buyer's journey, which then helps you define your positioning strategy. Your market segmentation can be based on one or more of the following: the problems being faced by your potential customers and the solutions they have on hand, the buyer personas themselves, purely industry or geographic segments. When evaluating problems faced by your customers, consider the following. How are your potential customers solving their problem at the moment? How is the competition solving these problems for your customers? Do you have a better solution you can offer? What is the most important thing to your customers? The mind share you want to own, and why should the customers buy from you rather than your competition? And I think the last point is very, very important. When looking at your product or service, be very critical. When looking at your product or service, be very critical. Do you merely think that you have a better solution, or is it really the case? Most businesses think they have a better product or service. The reality is that very few really do have a differentiating offer. So create a detailed and realistic buyer persona, which will then shed light into your customer's worldview. And it will also enable you to craft a positioning strategy that will directly connect you with your target audience. So the goal is to create a strategy that will make your brand a cult. Think Apple. Next, you're looking at competitive analysis. Thinking about your competitors is an important part of your positioning strategy. You will need to research your competition for your brand success. By doing this, you'll also be able to shed light on new opportunities or identify mindshare owned by a competitor that you can then aspire to. Start by figuring out the criteria that you will use to rate your competitors against your brand. Different market segments may require different criteria, so don't be lazy when coming up with a list. Examples of criteria could be things like price, compare on quality, maybe uniqueness, the features, service, very important, innovation, brand recall, the reputation, market share, and so on. Once you've completed the rating, try and answer questions such as, where do you score high or low in terms of categories? Are there any categories where you score quite low? Do you see any categories where you think you can improve the score right away? Then you can do a SWOT analysis. Now, a SWOT analysis would give you a great visual to help with your strategy. It will help you summarize your strengths, your weaknesses, the opportunities, and threats. Now, dovetailing from this, it would also help if you can try and figure out your competitors' value propositions. Now, value proposition can be three types. Either your competitors deliver value through operational efficiency, or they do so with product leadership and innovation, or maybe they have super customer service, which makes them stand out. Knowing which of these three options your competitors are utilizing in their positioning strategy would be invaluable. Next, we look at brand strategy. Oh, I love brand strategy. A brand is defined as the complete experience that your prospects and customers have with your business. It is the promise you make to your audience and the one that you keep. A brand strategy would include things such as the messages that your brand broadcasts, the service that you provide, your terms and your policies, the emotion that your brand evokes, and the personality of your brand. Now, a brand strategy can also include visual elements such as the brand logo design, the brand identity, the website, marketing materials, etc. But they're only a part of the brand experience. The four pillars of a brand strategy: brand essence, brand experience, brand promise, and brand language. Brand essence. Figuring out the emotion that your brand needs to tap is fundamental to your brand strategy. Part of this is to determine whether your brand is focusing on features or benefits. It's not enough to simply say that your brand should always talk about the benefits of your product or service. Some markets may require focus on presenting the features, while others would benefit from talking about the benefits. Here is a list of tips which can help you create a winning brand essence. Let's look at each one of these in detail. Number one, differentiate between features and benefits. A feature is something that your product or service does, while a benefit is how your customer feels from using your product or service. Now, this distinction is very important. You cannot confuse features with benefits. Just because you know the benefits doesn't mean that your customers, your target audience, also understand what the benefits are. You have to spell them out. Next, understand what needs people have. Now, figuring out which features of your product or service would translate to emotional benefits should be done with caution and by always keeping in line with your brand's core values. If an emotional benefit seems manipulative and counterintuitive to what your brand stands for, it should not be used. Number three, creating meaningful connections with your customers. Now, this, I think, in my book, is the best strategy of all. It starts with identifying the right kind of emotional benefits that your product or service has, and then communicating that to your target market. It's about avoiding overpromising and underdelivering. It's about keeping your brand promise. It's very, very, very critical. Number four, using emotions to differentiate your brand. If you can figure out your brand's genuine emotional values and then communicate that effectively, then you will differentiate your brand and gain not only mind share, but also market share. Now, a word of caution here. I am not advocating manipulation in any format. This is about understanding the genuine emotional values that your brand has. Now, if your brand does not have, at least on the face of it, any genuine emotional values, then your job should be to try and come up with some. Now, when I say come up with, I'm not talking about fabricating them, but get to the essence of your brand, get to the core of your brand, and then understand your value. Come up with values that then can translate into emotional values. Number five, what does your brand mean to your customers? Figuring out what your brand means or should mean to your customers is a critical task when building a successful brand. Does your brand stand for something in your customers' minds? Does it connect with them in a unique and fresh way? Does it inspire trust and confidence in them? This is very important. Most often, people don't ask these questions. It's probably because they're afraid of the answers that they would get. Maybe your brand, does not stand for anything. Maybe it does not connect with your customers in any way. Maybe it does not inspire trust and confidence. If that is the case, when you are building up your brand marketing plan at this juncture, at this stage, these questions will make you aware. And then you can pause and start working on them. All right, next we're looking at brand experience. To define the experience prospects and customers should have with your brand, start with identifying the personality traits of your brand. If your brand was a human, how would you describe her? Human personality traits would help you come up with creative messaging that would leave your target audience with. Next, we look at the brand promise. What does your brand stand for? What kind of a promise or promises are you making to your target market? The first thing to note is that a brand promise is not simply a description of what the company does or the products or services that it offers to the customers. No, a brand promise goes beyond the service or product on offer. It is the promise of how you will deliver value to the marketplace. This is very critical. This is very important. And I've done another video on creating a brand promise and aligning the emotional values and so on. Maybe you can check that out. Next, we look at brand language. So your brand visual imagery goes much deeper than just the logo design. It goes into secondary brand marks, official brand patterns, package design, tone of brand visual imagery, photos, and more. Translating your brand mission into a distinctive visual identity is fundamental to differentiating your brand in the market. Here, we define and describe our products, services, or offers in detail. This ensures awareness of our products, of our service, and this activity can also provide insight into the features versus benefits of your offering. Now, when it comes to a product, service, and pricing strategy, the cardinal rule is that bad pricing can kill your business. So, your pricing strategy must be based on value, not arbitrary and random kind of principles or metrics, but rather on value. Price your product or service too low, and you will attract the wrong kind of customer. And that will be the beginning of the end of your brand. So the trick is to build your brand in such a way so as not to be at the mercy of market pricing. Now, that is the holy grail of the pricing strategy. The fundamental rule of a pricing strategy is about the value you provide. What value are you providing your customers? Is it better value than your competitors? What will the market truly pay for your offering? This is very, very important. But this is a rule that can be broken. And if you look at luxury markets, if you look at luxury brands, they consistently break this rule. They don't really care what the market truly wants to pay for their products. They create a brand story, then they price their value, they price their products or services based on that brand story, based on the perception that they build. Does your pricing make you profit? Very important question. If your pricing strategy does not allow your company to make a profit, then it is the wrong pricing strategy. So the pricing strategy is not just about building revenues. It is not just about getting sales through the door, but the end goal or the end game of a pricing strategy is all about making profit. And finally, you should ask yourself, should you compete on price alone? And the reason I included this as one of the fundamental rules is because most often people start with this question, or rather they start competing on price. So you launch a brand, you have a product or you have a service. You look around what your competition is charging, and then you price accordingly. Now that is competing on price alone. All right, we move on to the next section, which is distribution and sales plans. Now, identifying distribution channels and creating a summary of a sales plan is very important at this stage. When it comes to channels, these could include direct sales, online sales, of course, catalog sales, wholesales, distributor sales, dealers, retail sales, and so on and so forth. So there are many kind of distribution channels, and I think that will be beyond the scope of this particular session. I will do another video. Maybe you can check that out. Okay. If you're planning on launching a new product or service into a large market fairly rapidly, then going for a channel with a large sales force or a large retailer would be the best strategy. So once you have identified your main distribution channels, you can then outline a sales plan summary for each of them. Next, we look at marketing campaigns. This would be the final section of your brand marketing plan, but also it would be the most important. It would be the most fundamental. So you got to really spend time and get into the details. You would need to research, identify, and come up with marketing campaigns that can include media such as email marketing, social media marketing, search engine marketing, direct mail, trade shows, online media, TV, magazines, and of course, traditional publicity. Let's look at email marketing. Contrary to popular belief, email marketing is not dead. It is, however, much more difficult to get through to customers than before. Not only has spam soured the experience for everyone, but customers these days are much more sophisticated. So the companies and brands have to put their best foot forward and get into the mindset that it's not just an email, it's your very first sales pitch. So, how do you do it? Number one, determine the objective. Think of the goal first and then work backwards. If you're trying to sell a product, think about the sales cycle and how it would be most convenient for the customer to initiate the sales process, and then give them that avenue within the email. If your purpose is to establish and maintain a relationship with an existing customer, then determine what the customer would find valuable and then structure your email on that. So don't try and mix multiple objectives at once. If you do, your email may come out disjointed, contradictory, and maybe too long. So if you want to sell, sell. If you want to inform, inform, but don't do both. Next, check your mailing list. Now, there are many ways that you can build a mailing list. You can purchase the list from a third-party vendor, or you can build your own list of opt-in email addresses. You can do this through websites, through social media marketing. There are lots of ways of doing it. Now, once you have the list, scan through the list and try and piece out specific demographics and useful bits of customer information. Now, if you bought the list, then it should already be pre-vetted based on your criteria. So don't just buy random lists. Buy lists that are vetted on criteria that you have. So hopefully you'll be able to find some clues as to how your email campaigns should be. Should it be, for example, localizing the copy, or should you include photos, so on and so forth. Next, think of the reader experience. Now, you want to make your emails as easy and convenient as possible for the customer to read. This means keeping your messages short and brief, with as many calls to action and as little fluff as you can manage. Of course, when I say as many calls to action, be careful. We don't want too many, just the right amount, and you can decide based on the objective of that email. And also minimize the use of images so that the email is it's readable even when the images are disabled, because a lot of people disable emails in their inboxes. I would recommend maybe just your logo design and maybe one more email just to grab the attention. If your email is a little text heavy, like a informational email or a newsletter, consider organizing it into distinct sections that have anchors and links for easy navigation. Next, personalize your email. You don't want to send out an email, that just says, hello, and then, if possible, try and have dear, and then, the name of the person, John or whatever. And these days, email marketing softwares make it very easy. It'll create a personal connection, and it would create a better impression of your brand. Finally, make it easy for the customers to reach you through your emails. Email is the most convenient method for your customers, and you want them to either reply or maybe even click on a link. So don't send out your emails through a do not reply email address. A lot of people do that. They do have a call to action within the body of the email, but when you try and reply, it just goes into a do not reply kind of a thing. Now, that is the worst thing to do. So create an email address just for your email marketing campaigns, or even for specific marketing campaigns, and then send out your email blasts with that email address. Okay, next, we look at social media marketing. So why do you need to focus on your social media strategy? Because social media is all pervasive. Now, I don't need to tell you this, but more and more people are um, on social media. That is becoming their primary means of getting information, news, entertainment, and everything else. And therefore, social media marketing has to be heavy in your marketing campaign strategy. There are two ways of putting your brand on social media. The first, and it's the more common method, and we see it 80% of the businesses do, is simply create social media channel pages and then post updates on them sporadically, infrequently, or maybe even frequently about their services or products, discounts and sales cries. Oh, makes me cringe. Sales cries. The second way is to really understand what social media is and how you can leverage it to take your business to the next level by listening to the conversations online and creating a robust and custom social media strategy. And of course, this would include building a relationship with your target audience. How can social media marketing help your brand? It can help you with lead generation, you know, um, by creating useful content for your target audience. And then you're promoting this on your social media, you attract leads. It can help with building brand awareness. Creating brand awareness on social media is fantastic. It can help with promotions, although, like I said, I do cringe when I see too many promotions on social media. It can help with direct sales. It can help with customer service, and it can also help with getting partners and employees and so on and so forth. So how do you do a social media strategy? Well, how should your social media strategy be? First, determine social media goals. This is the first step. What are your social media goals? Do you want to build brand awareness? Do you want to get sales? Do you want to just do promotions? Do you want to, generate meaningful leads? You need to understand. You need to pick the right goals for your business and for your target audience. For example, if you're a, let's say, mortgage broker, then perhaps launching promotions through social media might not work well with your target audience. Maybe you better try and establish a kind of a thought leadership on your channels. So a great social media strategy should be designed to meet one or more goals, not just a primary goal, but one or more goals. Number two, determine your audience and your message. So once you've established the business goals of your social media marketing, you then have to understand and segment your audience. Now, when you understand and segment your audience, it'll help you craft your message with laser-like precision. Now, this is where most businesses fail at social media marketing because they don't create audience-specific messaging. But by understanding your target audience, your messaging connects with them in a more meaningful way. All right, next, determine which channels to use. So there are lots of social media channels: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, and so on. But just jumping on every channel is not such a good idea. You have to determine which of these channels you should focus on. For example, Facebook, of course, is an obvious first choice for a lot of businesses. And when you're starting out your social media campaigns, I think it is one of the must required channels. And it can help with driving sales. It can increase brand awareness. It can do a lot of things. Or you can look at Twitter. Now, Twitter might not be for everyone, but it is very good at creating brand awareness. It can help you become an authority in your field. Now, Instagram would be fantastic for lifestyle brands. It can help you create a personality and tone. It's great for a visual form of communication. Pinterest is something similar to that. YouTube, of course, is a fantastic channel. Videos are great marketing tools. and so on. So determine which channels you want to focus on. And once you have identified your primary and secondary, or maybe even tertiary kind of social media channels, then you have to invest some time in listening to conversations on these channels. You need to observe to what is being said, and who's saying what. Now that will help you understand what conversations your brand should join, and of course who the industry influencers are. You have to understand that social media marketing is all about participating in conversations and engaging your audience. It's about adding value to a conversation online. It is not about just broadcasting things about your brand, or trying to broadcast promotions and sales. And of course, develop creative assets. Now, creative assets means that you need to really brand your social media channels well. They should have a consistent look and feel. They should have a personality. They should have a tone. Your logo, and of course your corporate colors should be aligned. The kind of photos you used. Invest in getting some royalty-free photos. Be careful. Do not infringe on copyrights. There's lots of things to talk about, and I've done another video on social media marketing. Maybe you can check that out. Okay, the next is search engine marketing. Search engine marketing is really evolved and morphed and changed quite a lot in the last few years. I would say a couple of years. It's gone from being purely search engine marketing to content marketing, and focusing on creating a content strategy is fundamental to achieving top Google rankings. So the dated spam kind of techniques, link building, link farms, guest posts, all that nonsense doesn't work anymore. So how do you how do you go about with your content marketing strategy? First, the fundamental kind of driving force should be that you want to show your brand as an expert. That is fundamental to everything. And you could have 1,000 words about your brand on your About Us page, but that is the weakest form of displaying your experience or expertise, because you could say anything in your defense, and your readers or potential prospects have no way of gauging the authenticity of your experience. Or you could showcase your customer testimonials or reviews and ratings, but although that is a better way of showcasing your kind of authority, it still has limited effectiveness. So what the best way is that you can create useful resources related to your area of expertise, and then you can showcase your knowledge and experience that your audience will then find valuable. Now that is the premise of content marketing. You should create content that helps your prospects. So this is not about creating sales material, okay? This is not about just spewing out mindless stuff out there. No, this is about creating content that your prospects, your target audience finds useful. And you can do this through a variety of medium. The blog. Your business blog is the first place where you start your content marketing. You should be writing on your blog about topics related to your industry, solutions to problems that your target audience may be facing, generally educational topics. Now, please remember not to use your blog for sales or promotional content. And also, remember to go for quality over quantity. Next, ebooks. Creating useful ebooks would benefit your audience even if they do not become your customers. Now, this is all about the give economy. Okay, don't be afraid to give away information, tips, solutions, ideas. The return on investment would not be immediately apparent, but it has long term benefits for your brand. They will make you an authority. White papers, well, ebooks, white papers, maybe they're interchangeable, but sometimes they are completely different. If your product or service is not mainstream or if it's very specialized, then you can write white papers on research or knowledge that you have gained in your industry. And if you have the budget, you can even hire researchers or freelance writers to create white papers. And big brands do it all the time. Podcasts. I love podcasts. I have my own podcast, and it's a growing trend where people are consuming audio content on the go, at the gym or when they are commuting. And if your industry is suitable for this kind of delivery, then you should start podcasting. Start with a monthly or fortnightly or even a weekly podcast. And, just think of it as a recording you make for a friend and talk about, burning issues or advice that you would give a friend, and your audience will find it super useful. And of course, finally, videos like the one you're watching now. Videos, webinars, they come under the same umbrella. And these are very, very effective kind of content delivery systems. And people consume a lot of video, and you will get the greatest kind of return on investment through creating videos that are educational, that are engaging. And of course, they have to be of high quality. Use good hosting services. You could use YouTube, of course. You could use Vimeo, or there are a couple of other good ones out there. Of course, videos require a lot more investment, time, and effort, but they are really, really effective. Okay. Next, we look at direct mail. Now, the return on investment on direct mail marketing is amongst the best in the marketing world, and it can be very effective to generate leads, promote special offers, drive traffic to the business, and generate retail sales. Starting any direct mail marketing campaign, again, starts with a list, just like an email marketing campaign. Sending out direct mail pieces and mailers can be expensive, and having a good, clean list can mean the difference between wasting money on mailers and getting a great return on investment. So, what are the fundamental aspects of a direct mail marketing strategy? First, develop the master plan. Before anything else, you have to come up with a plan for direct mail campaigns. This plan should include campaign objectives and goals, the target audience, if you have a list, the details of the list, a creative strategy, because direct mail pieces are all about looking good. Then you have, of course, the mail piece formats, the timing, delivery channels, implementation, and of course, the campaign timelines. Number two, you have to build or purchase a list. A great list means a successful direct mail campaign. A poor list means time, money, and resources are wasted on the wrong people. So you have to either develop or buy a great list. Estimating the response rate of any campaign would help with understanding and projecting conversions and revenue in relation to marketing return on investment. So even if it's your first direct mail campaign, it pays to put some time and effort into trying and estimating the response rates. The creative strategy is fundamental to direct mail campaigns, and it outlines the copy style, the tone, the branding, design elements, use of graphics, photos, and so on. This is very critical. Next, testing the campaign. It's always a good idea to test your direct mail campaign before launching. Test to a small subsection of the list. You can split test the copy, the design, the offers before going full scale. Just make sure that you can clearly track the results so you can choose the right split to use for the main campaign. And then, of course, the launch and fulfillment. So once the launch happens, it is very important to have a strategy in place for the fulfillment of the offer. Now, the fulfillment can include handling inbound calls or handling website hits and conversions, email responses, maybe honoring the offers and sales. There could be nothing worse than having a very successful direct mail campaign and not having the resources or the inventory or anything that to support the conversions in sales. Next, we have trade shows. Expos and trade shows can get your company's image out into the public, and it can amp up face-to-face communications and that your business can make. Now, trade shows put you and your team in an environment where they will have access to all the latest ideas. Break down the wall. If your business is going to evolve with the industry you operate in, introducing some new information is necessary if you want to stay on top of your market. A trade show will help you break down that wall. Everyone in the trade show will be there looking for new ideas, and this gives you and your crew a chance to talk shop with people who know what is going on. Local works. Here's the thing. Most networking platforms and media outlets are focused on macro, but as a small business, you need micro. There are some places to turn, such as LinkedIn, but nothing like pressing palms with other local businesses who operate in your market. Local industry-specific expos get you talking and learning from people who share the same market factors. So instead of doing it all alone, your company can have the support that information sharing creates. Ideas come first. So for a vast majority of industries, the tech matters. Now, trade shows let your team demo all the new gear and talk with professionals about what works for them. As I said at the beginning of this presentation, this was part of a module from our Ultimate Brand Builder course. Now, this course is all about helping you build the best brand that you possibly can. And for this, we have come up with 4 modules, which are the 4 pillars of a successful brand. The first is about the positioning strategy. This is about how you differentiate your brand and rise above the competition to gain mind share and market share. The next module that we present is branding strategy. What is your brand story? What does your brand stand for? What kind of experience would the world have with your brand? The third module that our course covers is visual language strategy. This is about how your brand looks and feels. How do your customers perceive it? A visual language to communicate your positioning and brand strategies. And the fourth module that our course covers is the marketing strategy. How to reach your customers, both offline and online, marketing tactics, campaigns, social media, content marketing, and more. So this presentation was part of the last module. Of course, I talked about building the brand plan, marketing plan. So I just touched upon all the different aspects of a brand marketing plan. But in the course, we have different lessons, different videos, each video dealing with each of these sections that we touched upon today. So a very important thing that I believe in is what Forbes said about business. If you don't drive your business, you will be driven out of your business. So this Brand Builder Academy is all about helping you drive your business, not just hanging out there and to be driven out of business. So if you believe that you want to drive your business, then maybe the course is a great investment for you. All right, so that brings us to the end of this video, and I'm Mash Bonigala. You can reach me on Twitter at Bonigala. I'm the founder and CEO of Spellbrand. You can also check out Brand Builder Academy. And till next time, that is a goodbye.